welcome to the work week, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Chicago Now. Anthony Ponce here alongside Anita Blanton, who's in for Caitlin.
Yeah,
once again, a pleasure.
She's a hard-working woman.
She is. She is working later in the day.
Mm-hmm. The other dark side.
Yes, that is a.
We have a dark side of our own,
We wake up in the middle of the night. They stay up till the wee hours.
Yeah.
So, a pleasure to have you.
It's always good to be here.
In studio again.
Plenty of good stuff to talk about, too.
We do.
Yeah.
One of these topics, Anita, is actually strangely relevant to me because I have a 4-year-old, and sometimes I find myself going back to like oohing and ahhing. He's not a baby anymore. No, I shouldn't do it, but sometimes he's just so cute that you gotta.
At 4, I'm thinking he's like Dad.
No, I know. Stop. Stop.
Come on.
I want to watch a show now.
Yeah.
No. But a mom is going viral on TikTok for the way she chats with her baby, her newborn.
As an adult.
As an adult.
And this has happened a few times. I remember back in 2019, there was a man, a comedian, DJ Pryor, who had 100 million views on his video where he was sitting on the couch talking with his son, and he spoke to him just like he was talking to another man, and the baby was kind of interacting, and so it became like a really big thing. They ended up getting a promotional deal with Denny's. Yeah, because so many people were interested in it. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. We're going to bring in a developmental expert to talk a little bit more about, like, hey, does it actually help?
Yeah.
Or does it hurt? You only have one time to be a child. So, like, does it hurt? Does it help? Does it maybe add to their vocabulary later in life? Like, what's the deal?
And is it taking away from my 4-year-old's development that I sometimes fall into that baby talk with him? So we're going to get all the answers.
He's going to go to kindergarten like,
yeah, he's like,
words?
Yeah, words?
Can you give me a goo-goo?
And we are just days away now from Lollapalooza.
It's a biggie. Yeah, the setup is already there. Of course, people are flooding into town. We always love to see all of our visitors. And it's never just the concerts. You know, the concerts are like what sells the ticket. But there's so many other things that go around the concerts that we got to dig into. So we got to bring in some folks to talk to us about that, too.
Are you going to any of the Lala stuff?
I'm a little bit above Lala age.
Okay. I don't think so, but
slightly.
I am.
I was at Wicker Park Fest over the weekend.
Proud of you.
That's my jam.
Proud
you know,
of you.
I was out there.
The neighborhood
That's
festivals.
my ducha. Yeah, but
Absolutely.
Lala's a little bit
right
different.
with you.
Yeah, remember last year we had a little bit of trouble in the 40s, in our 40s, saying chaperone. It is a very memorable moment.
Do you remember how I pronounced it? Were you there, Jenna?
I will never forget it. He said Chappelle Rowan.
Chappelle Rowan. But
that would suggest you're above the Lala age.
Unbelievable. You know what? I'm having a moment right now because in my own defense, she was not the household name last year that she is now. That's kind of what
blew her up.
But isn't it amazing just how much difference a year makes? She is a household name now.
Yeah, she had a history-making set at Lala last year.
Yes,
and
that was her big.
It was her big break. Yeah, so that all is fair from that standpoint. But yeah, I mean, I love the fact that like you get these big-name artists, you get some artists who no one knows. There's even a stage.
The chaperone of this year.
There you go. And there's even a stage just for the Chicago up-and-coming artists too. So they really do it right. They do.
That was. To jog people's memory a little bit, I remember she was not like the headliner that night. She was a 5 p.m. performance, and the drone video that we aired, it was just like, wait, who's performing on that stage?
Exactly.
Like everyone was over there,
and then
it became.
And I think she ended up having more people at her set than the headliner.
Right.
So that became the headline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was a cool moment. So we're going to be joined by someone from Do 312 who's going to run us through everything the concert going public needs to know about the after parties, the cool spots, the under the radar stuff.
And it's important to know like the cool spots because what you find find year to year is that a lot of these artists end up stopping by the cool spots. And that becomes a part of the conversation afterward too. Like, oh, where did they stop? Where did they eat? You know, who got to see them? Where did they slip in? So maybe if you kind of get the inside scoop from the front end, then you can be there when they sneak in. Yeah.
All right, let's get to our trending topics, Anita.
All right.
There is a cry for help from the Anti-Cruelty Society. Run us through the nuts and bolts of this. What's going on here, Anita?
Super sad story because there's so many different elements to it. So there was a Dachshund that's only 2 months old. There he is. I believe his name is Peter, who was stolen from their shelter. Now, here's the thing. Initially, you're thinking like, well,
no,
you want to give to people, and so if somebody really wanted him, maybe they couldn't pay, and sometimes they do waive the fee, but maybe they couldn't pay and they took the dog. You're thinking, well, at least he has a home now, but because he's so young, he actually still needs some specialized care. So you could be doing more harm than good in this situation. So wherever he is, if you hear us, if you've seen his face on TV, don't just think that they're trying to get him back to get you in trouble. He actually needs some help.
Yeah, so we're getting the word out. 311, you are asked to call 311 if you know who might have taken Peter. You can also do an anonymous text as well to Chicago
Not about
Public
getting anybody
Police.
in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the key, is that he is so young, he needs specialized care, and this doesn't just, as Anita said, this doesn't just mean that he's found his forever home.
Yeah, we want him to have a long life. Okay, so here's another big topic that we're talking about today. We saw the President Trump, landing a huge deal with the EU over the weekend. So obviously we have an August 1st deadline for tariffs to go in place. This is widespread. This is a huge moment. But at the same time, he kind of mentioned the possibility of a rebate. And you know, folks are like, another stimulus check? Give me my stimmy. So now people are talking about the possibility.
Yeah, we'll see. He, you know, in his typical Trump bluster, said, "Hey, we got so much money rolling in now. I'm thinking about it." He's like, "I'm thinking about it. So, hey, don't hold your breath."
There's no bill. There's no executive order, but it is a thought. It is a thought.
And the big one of the many lingering issues now is, will the Trump administration be able to strike a deal with China?
Yeah.
Because if they don't, I can't remember offhand when the deadline to get a deal done with China is, but 100% tariffs are set to go into effect if things aren't settled before then.
And whereas the EU deal, you know, he kind of went 15%. In. I was watching him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, this will be done in an hour." And they did come back on the opposite side of that, and they're like, okay, we got it done. It was hard, it was tough, but it was fair, and they got it done. China's not looking the same.
No, it's a different ballgame.
Yeah, we shall see.
That side of the
Meanwhile,
globe.
he's golfing today in Scotland. So
you know what? I did see them meeting in what looked like out the back window. There was like a golf course. Hey, that's ground zero for that stuff.
There you go.
Hey, there was history made where I used to work in
so
Indianapolis.
Excited about this. Yes.
Talking about a historic win
Bubba
at the
Wallace.
Brickyard. 400, Bubba Wallace. Okay.
Yeah. First black driver to win on that track. It's a 2.5-mile track there that they have to drive for this. And this was no ordinary race. Like they had, I think, 2 overtimes. There was rain.
There was
delays.
restarts.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. But love to see that. You know who he drives for?
Hey. Chicago.
Somebody who knows a lot about winning.
There's always a Chicago connection.
Somebody
MJ
who knows
himself.
a lot about winning. Yeah, Michael Jordan. The first year of the NASCAR street race here in Chicago, I remember going down on the street level and seeing Bubba Wallace from afar, and then I got up close. He wasn't up close with his car. It was like wah, wah, wah. But I did get to take a picture with the car. So it's super cool to see him. He's breaking a 100 race losing streak. And I feel like that has to speak to people on a Monday. Like, whatever you feel like,
there's an end in sight.
Brighter days are on the horizon. Keep at it. You know, stick to whatever your goal is. You never know when it might come to fruition. 100 races lost, but now everything turns around because he's playoff worthy now.
Hey, it's unbelievable. And you watched The Last Dance, I know that. And one of the takeaways is just how competitive Jordan is. And like, to see, there's part of me that feels for MJ because he doesn't have the athletic out.
He can't get in there and do it
like
himself.
He can't get in there outlet anymore. So he's gotta do this stuff. But
and you're saying he took it personally.
He always. But I've seen interviews with him, like when his team does well, and you can tell that blood gets going, and he's just like.
I think once you've been an athlete, that's always in your blood. That competitive spirit, it's always in your blood.
I always feel bad for retired athletes.
Yeah.
Because think about
it's a life-changing moment.
Exactly. Think about like the adrenaline highs and lows they go through in their playing career, and then all of a sudden they're too old to get back on the field, on the court, whatever, golf course, and that competitive energy needs like an outlet. Part of me is like, hey, you know what? I'm glad I chose a career path where presumably you can keep it kind of even keel into old age. You know what I mean?
But you know what? I have talked to several journalists who got out of the business, and like that first year, especially when there's like a major breaking story, they want to come back in.
Yeah,
so it's still in their blood too.
Oh,
you
Anita,
know?
when you were over at the DNC, that whole, I was like,
I
want to get back. I want to get back out of the field. But no, you did such a great job over there.
you.
But no, I had that moment too. And we've all known so many of our colleagues who will like, okay, they reach a point in their life or their career where they're like, I'm going to do PR. And then, but without fail, yeah, they're like, gosh, you know, those big breaking exciting stories are like, put me back in, coach.
Yeah, when you're covering Lala this weekend, I don't know if I'm going to be like, I want to switch with you.
This is so funny because there are certain, when I was in my 20s, here as a reporter in Chicago, that I wouldn't bat an eye. But at covering Lollapalooza. So this is for veteran reporters in Chicago, this is always a thing. Taste of Chicago, Lollapalooza. There's certain assignments that you've done so many times. You know it's going to be hot out. You know there's going to be crowds. We're like, uh-oh. But you know what? I've been away from Lala as a reporter for long enough that like I'm feeling pretty energetic going into this. So we shall see.
Yeah. And the people watching at Lala is top tier.
Yeah. Oh, it is top tier. Here's another thought I have, Anita. As this is going to be a topic of conversation all week. I know it between all of us since I'm going out and covering Lala, and that is I'm actually hoping to cover it because you know that if I'm not covering Lala, it's because something bad probably happened.
Ooh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm actually like, okay, I hope that's the assignment because then there's
things to go well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Weather-wise, most of the people who go out to Lala, I mean, rain or shine, they look to have a good time. So we want them to be able to come here, have a great time. We're going to help you out throughout the week and let you know all that's going on because it's a massive. I think it is our largest festival throughout the year.
Yeah.
So
I think it does.
I'm gonna do right by you.
$300-400 between all 4 days of the festival. You're looking at a lot of people.
It is huge.
Yeah. All right. So, and if you're just joining us, we are going to get all the inside scoop on the after parties and all the stuff to do around Lala a little bit later in the hour.
Yeah.
We are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to be joined by Dr. Claire Valatin. She is a professor with Michigan State University to settle this question of is baby talk a good thing to actual babies?
Goo goo gaga or not.
Gaga or not. From a momfluencer when we come back right after this, everybody.
my epidural worked up until my blood pressure completely dropped. And at that point, I was at a 6. It's 6 out of 10, okay? And then they stopped my epidural because I needed to get my blood pressure. Yes, stopped my epidural. Can you believe? So then they get my blood pressure like where it needs to be. Then they turn my epidural back on, but here's the thing, it doesn't actually come back on. So I got to a 10 and I started pushing, and ouch, it hurt so very badly. So then guess what they did? They came back and gave me another epidural, but this time it only works on the left side of my body. So while you were coming into the world, I could feel it on the right side of my body. And let me tell you what, that hurt. I guess that's what a natural birth feels like, but I wasn't signing up for a natural birth because I wanted to have the epidural. So anyways, worst pain of my life, but best thing ever is having you here. Happy Mother's Day. Huh? What do you think?
What do you think? I think a lot, Mommy, because that was a lot.
You think she picked all that up?
We'll see. We'll see. That is the point of our conversation, though. Like, how much do they pick up? That was mom influencer Alex Bennett, and she's really become popular because she speaks to her daughter like she is an adult. And so there are so many different questions that come from that. Is it helpful? Is it harmful? We wanted to bring in an expert. We have with us right now professor from Michigan State University, Dr. Claire Valatin. Thank you so much for being here with us and getting us together on this topic.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I love talking about babies and talking to babies. So this is my thing. Yep.
I have been scolded. I was telling Anita during the commercial break, I've been scolded by my wife because we have a 4-year-old, and sometimes he's just so cute that I fall back into the baby talk, even though he's only 4, and she scolds me. But that kind of leads us to talking about baby talk in general and parent. I've heard it referred to as parent ease. You know, that just kind of the affect a lot of parents.
Yep.
When is it appropriate? When is it not appropriate? And is it beneficial at a young age?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, great questions. And so I love that you call it a parentese. We call it parentese when we're talking to parents and to researchers. We used to call it motherese, but we recognize that dads are and parents too, right? And they do it too. So the wonderful thing about this parentese, aka baby talk, is that babies train us to do it. And it's because when they're really little, that high-pitched voice that we use when we're talking to our babies, it gets their attention. And so they get, when we use it, it actually draws their attention into the conversation. They know we're talking to them, and then they get engaged, and we start to do this back and forth with them. And that's when they learn like the rhythms of conversation, the pauses, the back and forth. It's so important when it's about communication, right? And relationship. So babies train us to do it, and it helps them to learn language. It's done in languages all over the world. And parents are intuitive geniuses when it comes to just, no one has to train parents to do it. We just naturally do it, right? And because our babies are training us to do it. So we do that, and then they get to learn the sounds of their language, and they get to learn the rhythms of conversation through that.
Okay, so I don't want to shame any parent for how they go about parenting their baby.
Yeah, not at all.
If there is someone out there who says, no, I want to speak to my child like an adult so that they maybe pick up grammar or pick up vocabulary from an early age, how could that be helpful?
So what I love about this trend that we're seeing is, one, parents are talking to babies, and that's not a bad thing. It never is, right? As long as it's developmentally appropriate. So they're talking to their babies, and they're connecting with them, and they're still demonstrating the sounds of their language and the rhythm of conversation, especially if parents do the thing where they're talking about their whatever, and they pause for a baby's response and wait a second. And then they start talking again, and then they pause. So even if you're talking about adult things, fine, right? And you're getting the rhythm of the conversation. Babies are not going to learn words from that. They're not going to learn vocabulary from that. What helps babies, especially the littler ones, when they start to get close to a year old, and then in their early second year of life, when they're starting to really pay attention to the meaning of words, what helps them is if we slow our speech down and emphasize key words.
That's so
So
interesting.
that is what, so part of that parentese is not just the high pitched voice, which gets the little baby's attention,
Right.
but also the slowing it down and the emphasis on keywords that the baby is paying attention to. So they only learn the things that are important to them. They're a little egocentric at this phase, and we know that that's perfectly natural. So they're paying attention to the things they're looking at, the things they're pointing to. And if we talk about those things that the babies are interested in, that's when they're going to learn words.
So with that all in mind and all the benefits of slowing down and using this parentese affect, what would be your advice to parents as their babies turn into toddlers, as those toddlers turn into young boys and girls? How do we know how fast to take your foot off the gas when it comes to this?
That's a really good question, and I think my best answer is they'll tell you. So when my daughter was 2, I thought I had this all dialed in. I am like, this is my research career. I've spent 25 years studying this stuff. And when my toddler was 2.5, I was still doing the repeat technique where a child says something and you repeat back their words, but you add a little bit more to your sentence to demonstrate a longer sentence. So my daughter would say, climb stump. And I'd say, oh, you climbed the stump today at school. And she'd go, Simon too. I'm like, oh, Simon did it also. And so we're driving home one afternoon, and she's doing that, and I'm responding. You know, she's in the back seat, and I'm responding with my repeat and extend technique. And she goes, no. And I said, no. And she said, no, stop it. I said, you want me to stop it? She said, stop. I talk, and you say, uh-huh, uh-huh. And then you talk, and I say, uh-huh, uh-huh. She was ready for the next level.
She was essentially like, I'm old now. I'm older now. You don't need to talk to me like that.
That's right.
I remember my nephew and us having this one conversation of, oh, why in the world do you say that? And where in the world do you get that from? And I'm like, no, where in the world did you get that from, kind of thing. You have those moments, yeah. Okay, so when it comes to maybe developmental steps, what are some tips you can give parents to help in maybe smoothing out those moments?
Great question. So with the little ones, right, it's the high-pitched voice and the slower speech, but also just the back and forth rhythm of conversation. Then when babies start vocalizing at something or pointing at something or both, that's when you're going to focus in on what they're paying attention to, and you're going to slow your speech, and you're going to talk about those things they're paying attention to. Then as they start to have a few more words in their vocabulary, you're just going to start, like, just even 50 words in their vocabulary, around a year and a half years old. You're going to start to then use their words in sentences and do that repeat and expand technique. And then it just kind of grows from there, where you are expanding and bringing in. Parents also do this naturally. They bring in words intentionally that their children don't understand, so that they can explain what that new word means, and use those new words and say, oh, that means this, right? So parents are, like I said, pretty intuitive geniuses about all of this, but those are some key things. So look for when babies start to vocalize and point to shift the strategy. And then when they have a few words and are starting to use more of those, parents can repeat and extend, and then parents can start to, once children are combining their words together, that's when parents can go to more sophisticated grammar and really demonstrate more of the full range of conversation and sentences to their children.
Do you have any other advice for parents in terms of making sure that their kids have fertile ground to learn language? For example, we have we've been doing nightly books at bedtime ever since our kids were, way too, I'm assuming just way too, they're probably only seeing the colors.
It's never too early.
Yeah, colors, but things like that. Any other advice to bolster our children's language skills at a young age?
Again, great question. So any kind of books or reading at bedtime, storytelling, it doesn't have to be with a book. It could be looking at family photos and talking about a memory. It could be, anything like any kind of thing that invites them into the conversation and making it engaging for them. Learning how to ask children open-ended questions that they can answer. So just posing a question to them and pausing and letting them respond. It takes them a minute, especially when they're little, to formulate their response. But learning how to ask an open-ended question to a child, like, what do you notice? What are you interested in? And even a little one could respond with a point or a look that a parent can then respond to. So open-ended questions. Don't, like, books are wonderful and fantastic. Don't think you have to be limited to that. Use family photos, singing is a wonderful language activity too, and something children can join in on. So there's so many different language-based activities that boost our children's language and ultimately their literacy, that are with books, but also beyond books too.
I took the family book, picture book of my birth to school, and my mother got a phone call. Make sure they take the appropriate book with them.
They're not old enough for this.
She got a phone call. So maybe on a final note, obviously technology is just growing leaps and bounds. Are there some things that you think have become maybe a crutch for parents that we need to kind of ease up off of?
Glad you brought that up. So one of the things that is hurting our children's language and honestly hurting our relationships with them is not just their technology use, but ours, especially with the little ones. We are so distracted as parents. We're stressed out enough as it is, but now we've got our phones constantly in our hands. My child just a couple years ago said to me, the problem with grown-ups is once you put a phone in their hands, they can't look away.
Oh, wow.
I mean, she was like,
Called
she was
out.
5 or 6 making this observation, right? So here we are worried about children's use of technology. We're modeling it, and we're modeling it pretty badly. And it's distracting our attention from those back and forth engaging conversations that they need to learn language. So I'd say designate some, time each day that is a tech-free time, right? Just and spend that time engaging with children face-to-face, one-on-one, or in groups is fine too, but face-to-face without the technology on the adult side.
Great advice. Great advice. Dr. Claire Valatin with MSU, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time this morning.
Happy to be here. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Yeah, I speak from experience, Anita, when I say that it's way less effective to tell your kid to get off the screen
when
you're on the screen. Here's something else funny. This past week, you and I talked to the guy who was that teacher who was real good on the lingo. Have you ever heard the phrase touching grass?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
I hadn't heard this.
You need to get outside and touch some grass. Yeah.
I was talking to one of Theo's friends, and I asked him a question about video games or something like that, and his answer was, he didn't know the answer, and I'm like, how do you not know? He's like, because I actually touch grass.
He got you.
Yeah, he's like, because I actually touch grass.
Got you.
And I'm like, oh yeah, he goes outside.
For anyone who else doesn't understand it, that means you spend some time in reality off of your screen. Actually,
and I'm glad that that's slang and lingo now, because I will hear these boys scolding each other. Get outside, touch grass.
Yeah.
Dude, touch grass. I like that it's a thing, right? Like they know that it's a thing. So that's good. It's not all coming from us. All right. Such great info from Dr. Claire Valatin. All right, we are going to go to a quick break, but it is Lala week, and we are going to get all the inside scoop for all the after parties, all the under the radar
doing the digging
events.
for you.
We're going to make it easy for everybody who's about to flood to Chicago to enjoy our great city when we come back.
everybody. 10:36, and it is a wonderful time of year, summertime shy. And once we get to, the end of July into the beginning of August, one of the biggest festivals throughout the year takes place, and that would be Lollapalooza. So we've enlisted some help to give you all of the nitty-gritty about the upcoming festival this week from our friends at Do 312, and we have Abhijit Rane here.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, great to have you
Good to
here.
see you. Thanks for being in studio.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, do you feel like, before we get into some of these events that are happening in and around Lollapalooza, do you feel like there's any common rookie mistakes that first-time Lolla goers make when they come to Chicago?
Okay, so this is just my advice to anyone. It's the first time where they're going back. You gotta get sunscreen and water. Those are like your two festival best friends, even more so than your best friends at the festival.
No, that's so serious because
It really
by
is.
this time of year we have heat advisories and all different kinds of things going on. And even if you're young, you kind of think you can go harder than maybe your body actually can.
Yeah, and the awesome thing is Lolla does have like free water refill stations. So you come with a collapsible water bottle and a tiny thing of sunscreen. You're gonna be so happy
Yeah.
all weekend
happier.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They come with the collapsible bottles. They
'Cause-
just need to make sure they fill it with water.
Water.
Messing
Yeah.
messing that one up could wreck your whole time.
Yeah.
If you end up in that medical tent,
Yeah.
and you can't, you know what I'm saying? Like that.
I see the
that is-
ambulances coming
Yeah,
in
That
and
is-
you
out.
also you
Yeah.
don't want to be the one friend that gets held up there.
Oh,
Right,
yeah, you don't want to be
You'll
that
never hear
friend.
the end of that.
Okay, so let's talk about some of your picks for Lolla Weekend. Like, what are some of the things that people, if they're coming here or if they live here and they're coming downtown, they need to make sure they participate in?
Yeah, so obviously like Lolla it's like its own season, right? Like
Yeah.
we have every season, then we have Lolla. So one of my favorite parts of Lolla is like obviously going to the festival and then right after going to all of the Lolla after shows. And we have such a cool like music landscape in Chicago. So all of the music venues, all these independent music venues have their own Lolla after shows. So I highly recommend, if you can get a pair of tickets to any Lolla after show, you should check it out because you'll have music lovers like yourself out there who are going from like the hours long festival to then even enjoy some more music. And if you like to win tickets, we're giving away tickets to every single Lolla after show on Do 312. So that's like another added thing on that.
How do they do that? How do they capitalize
So
on
if
that?
you go to do312.com/Lolla after shows, you can just win tickets to every single show that's going on.
They just register. It's like a random.
Yeah, it's just a random
lottery.
win. You just hit
Yeah.
enter to win, and then you win.
Okay, do you have some favorites? Like, the Lolla list is so long.
Yeah.
Sometimes you kind of gloss over it and you're like, I only see the things that are in big print.
Yeah.
But maybe there's somebody who's really good in fine print.
So I always like to find like one big print and one small print artist each day to like focus in on.
That's a good
and some of
strategy.
my favorites right now is like I really want to see Doechii because I know she's
Yes!
about to become an even bigger superstar
Yeah.
than she is right now. And then the global pop group Cat's Eye is there on Sunday, and a lot of my friends are teaming up for that.
Do you have any recommendations on where people, if they're seeing, let's say they see this clip in anticipation of Lolla, and they're like, okay, I do want to get in on one of these after parties. Maybe they don't win the lotto through Do 312, but is there a place where they can go to find out, hey, like a menu of some of these after parties? Because you're right, there's so many little venues around Chicago in the neighborhoods that people are going to want to check out.
Yeah, so that's also kind of where like Do 312 comes in. We have all of these events listed on our website.
Sweet.
So even if you're in town for Lolla and you don't want to hit the Lolla crowd again, we have a listing of like every other event going on in the city too. So if you're here, you're like, okay, after the festival, I just want to go to like a dive bar. We have a list of dive bars you can check out. If you're like, I want to maybe catch a late night comedy show, we got you covered there too.
Sweet.
Okay, those are very long days to say like I'm gonna be at Lolla all day and then I'm still thinking about an after party like whew. And some people like pregame even. But okay, if people are trying to navigate it all in terms of the stages even, how do you plan out your day? Like what are some strategies, best tips for strategizing Lala?
Yeah, so something that I've learned over the years is you make the map of Lollapalooza your phone background. Ooh. So that way, every time you hold your phone up, you have the map of the entire park there. And that way, you're never confused about which direction, which stage is in, because you just have to look at your phone real quick, and then you don't have to connect to the internet, you don't have to worry about Wi-Fi, it's all there.
There's a membership that you can do through Do 312. It's called the More membership. What are the benefits? Tell us about that and what the benefits are. So give us your sales pitch.
Absolutely. So look, I love to go out. I'm sure you guys love to go out too. And going out is always getting more expensive, but you know, and it's always hard to like find like those like small little unique things to do. So we have a membership service called Do More that helps you do more. You sign up, it's only $7 a month. You tell us what kind of events you like, what neighborhoods you go out in, what kind of music you listen to. You can even hook up your Spotify to the account. And we will find a pair of tickets to a show that you like. It will most likely be someone you know, or it'll be someone we think you will probably enjoy. And we'll hook you up with a pair of tickets every single month. And sometimes you even get last minute ticket drops to like some of the biggest stuff going on in Chicago. So it's just like a really cool way to find events and find people that like events too.
And let's talk a little bit about that, because overall it is festival season, which means every weekend there are multiple festivals going on. This past weekend I was like, do I go to Lincoln Avenue Fest, or do I go to Wicker Park Fest, you know, or do I go one on Saturday, one on Sunday? It's easy to be able to do things in our city without spending a whole lot of money. So talk about some of the things that maybe would fall in that list of other things to do.
Yeah, so obviously like we have so many awesome street festivals that are like, it's such a good way to support neighborhood businesses. So I live on Argyle Street, and we have the Argyle Night Market like on Thursdays in the summer. So that's one of my favorite things to go to, because you'll have really, I also love food. So if there's music and food at the same time, I will be there.
You're my spirit animal.
Yeah. So any food vendors that I can go to, I will always check out at these street festivals.
Do you have any advice for those incoming to Chicago by the tens of thousands in terms of zeroing in on some of this food?
Like my favorite restaurant that they should check out
for this weekend, like other thing, if obviously you have to eat too. Hydrate and make sure you eat during Lala festivities. But what are some of the like happening places to go? I feel like some folks saw some of the big the young lady who does espresso.
Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah, she was in town, and like they were like, oh, she went to this restaurant just like last year, the year before.
So I'm not a celebrity, but I'll give you my top picks. If you want to grab a coffee and you like sweet coffee like I do, I highly recommend going to like uptown to First Sip Cafe. They have an ube Vietnamese coffee that's just like simply so good. It's purple, so why wouldn't you want that? I think that's like my perfect way to cool down. Yeah, and then it's right next to the Lakefront Trail, so you can take a bike or a Lime scooter all the way back to the festival too.
Any place for celebrity sightings?
Because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but these guests, they got to get out of downtown at least once.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If they're coming for a couple days, don't stay in. Sorry, I'm going to go soapbox for a second. Don't stay downtown the entire time. Hop the L, get a couple divvy bikes, get into the neighborhoods and check out. Uptown's a great option too. There's plenty of cool stuff up there.
Yeah, and you don't have to go too far.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, like, even if you're like, okay, I don't want to walk around a neighborhood, the Lakefront Trail is so gorgeous. Any opportunity to sit by the lake is something that you should take when you're here for the summer.
Abhijit, let me ask you this: Anita alluded to the possibility before during our commercial break of actually encountering some of these artists, whether they're up and coming or is there a reasonable does this happen every year at Lala, where you're at an after party and hey, look who rolls through?
Well, so celebrities, they're just like us. So they also want to go out to stuff, and that's where like all these Lala after parties, like they really come into play, because like they're friends with each other. So if they know one of them is doing a DJ set, you can expect to see a few more of them behind the DJ booth at these parties.
And that just adds to your Lala experience. When you're like, I was in Chicago and I just so happened to bump into Dochi, you know, somewhere, then you're like, oh, that really was cool.
Okay.
Yeah, and then a pro tip is keep an eye out for all of these celebrities where their friends are DJing, because that's how you know they're probably going to be there too. So if they're friends with a smaller DJ, that's who you want to keep an eye out for.
This is okay. So we have that. This is a good insider.
Yeah.
Don't forget the sunscreen. Don't forget the water.
Water,
And-
water, and food.
And you know what to do with the home screen on your phone.
That was such a pro tip.
And any other pro tip? We're getting the wrap, but any other pro tips?
Look,
these are good. These are real good.
I've been a festival junkie for a while. So this is all coming from like years of just like going out there. But I feel like I've covered like all of my festival pro tips. And just like one last thing if you guys like finding events and you want to try out Do More, we're giving away a free trial at do312.com/free trial. So come sign up there. Like I said, I'm not a celebrity, but you might see me out too.
Hey, no,
well,
you're the
after they
closest
see
thing
you
to
on
it.
here, they're gonna be like, "Isn't that Abhijit?"
I like this do 312 more get more membership.
Yeah,
It's like a little
sounds really
it's a little
fun.
entertainment concierge service. You'll curate it for our
Right
needs.
to your inbox.
I love it. All right, Abhijit Rane, thank you so much for have a great Lala experience.
Yeah.
You as well.
Maybe I will see you
Enjoy.
out there. I'm going to be out there on
with
Saturday.
your water bottle.
With my water bottle,
Filled
with
with
my
water.
sunscreen. There's going to be water in that
Filled
thing.
with water.
I'm going to be on the job, Anita. Come on, give me a little bit of credit here. Thank you so much for being in the
you.
studio.
Great having
And
you.
we're going to get a very unique behind-the-scenes perspective when we come back on what it is like behind the scenes here at Chicago Now and Good Day Chicago with a couple of our intrepid colleagues.
Hardest working that you never see.
Indeed. We'll be right back.
Guys, you keep falling. Okay. Hi everyone, it's Serena. We're back for another week of our weekly intern shenanigans. I'm here with one of the station's stagehands, and today I'm going to show you the day in the life of a stagehand at Fax 32. So the day actually started the night before when I set a ton of alarms because I was terrified of oversleeping since M starts their shift at 5:30 in the morning. As you can see, I am clearly not a morning person, but I was committed to embracing the life of a stagehand, even to the point of showing up in full M uniform. So after chugging some cold brew and walking half asleep to work, I headed into the studio where M was reviewing the router sheet and rundown for our Good Day Chicago show, which airs from 6 to 10 a.m. They'll check the router sheet to see who our in-person guests are for the day and where they'll be, either in the main studio or our secondary space, Studio 32. Next, they'll review the rundown to catch any key transitions or location changes for the anchors. For example, if an anchor moves to the live desk during the show, Em will need to adjust the lighting. Or if they're doing a segment from the newsroom, the lighting on that camera needs to be set for whichever anchor will be there.
So after this transition, I go back here and I go to our 6 a.m. queue with 3 hosts. So that just makes sure that all of our 3 hosts at the desk are lit. And then I go in and make small tweaks as I see fit. I didn't know stagehands were a thing. I went to school for theater production and design. I didn't even really think that film or television was an option. So once I got to Chicago, I learned how popular the film industry was and how popular the TV industry was. My rule to myself was I'm going to give Chicago a year before I move back home with my parents. And then within 6 months, I joined the Stagehands Union.
As guests start to arrive, Em brings them over to Alexis to get mic'd up and checks that they have everything they need for their segment.
So we still have a little bit of time before your guys' interview, so if you don't mind just hanging out in the green room, we'll grab you whenever we're ready. Okay. Thank you guys.
Then, right before they go on air, Em walks them into the studio.
So this is how I talk to all of the other technical people. So our director, our producer, the other stagehands who are in. This just makes communication more seamless between all of us.
After the morning show, Em is in Studio 32 to make sure all the lighting is situated for Chicago Now, our digital lifestyle show, which airs from 10 a.m. to noon. They'll also add or remove any chairs during commercial breaks depending on our in-studio guests and number of anchors for the day. To say Em is strong is an understatement, but if you're wondering where this strength comes from, look no further than Em's daily Dunkin' order.
I get Dunkin' almost every day. It's a problem, it's an addiction. So today, I got a cold brew with 2 pumps vanilla and almond milk. Correction, my last Dunkin' order that you showed last time was terrible. Hated her. So this is my usual go-to.
If you haven't been able to tell by now, stagehands are the reason you can walk onto set or transition between segments and everything is exactly where it's supposed to be. After Chicago Now, Em heads right back downstairs for the noon show before heading home around 1:30 to take a long nap and enjoy the rest of their day. And that's a day in the life of a stagehand at Fox Chicago.
Bravo!
Bravo to both Serena, our intern, and also Em, the star of the show. Serena's been doing these day in the life of, they've been on her Instagram page, and they've caught our attention because they are just so good. They really are good. You're doing a wonderful job with those. Em is a superhero.
Oh, yeah.
You guys don't get to see, so I'm so glad that you really profiled Em of all people, because people don't get to see you. We were like, oh, Em's putting on a mic. But you do so much. We're so grateful for what you do, the many things you do. Like we do. We just get to sit down.
Yeah.
I have 2 immediate questions.
We get to sit down because you're so great.
Do you track the number of steps that you take?
So here's the issue, is I do on my phone, but I don't always have my phone in my pocket because I'm carrying around all this heavy shit. I don't know if I can cuss on this.
We're on the web. We're on the web.
So it's not always documented.
Yeah, it's not always documented.
Okay.
So what would you guesstimate?
I would probably say 15,000, somewhere in that ballpark. Because right now it's tracking me at about like 5 to 7.
Yeah.
And that's not in my phone or in my back pocket 24/7.
Right. And Em, I believe you got how much training time? Because I remember that was a part of my the wonder of Em coming in and being who you are to us.
So I went to school for theater and design. I didn't have really any like film or television background. So my training here was just kind of all on the spot, on the fly, and just learning as I go and taking a lot of notes of like, okay, this is what they're expecting of me. These are the things I should know, and I have my shit together.
Yeah, and it's Em, we had a stagehand before Em that we loved to pieces. And so when we were losing that person, it was like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? We have not missed a beat.
Yeah.
We have not missed a beat because of you. You were
Emma,
awesome.
there's so many, as we saw in Serena's piece there's so many different aspects to your job here. Of all those, what is the most stressful one?
Ooh, dealing with the guests. I'm not a people person whatsoever. So like if they're not on top of their shit or they're like late, I don't know how to deal with that. Like I try to the best of my ability. I go to our producers, I'm like, hey, so-and-so isn't here yet. do we just switch around our blocks? What do we do? It's more of that causes me a lot of anxiety.
Right. Yeah. Those human variables. Because we deal all the time with folks who are not on time.
We love them.
We love them anyway. But,
we love them, but they cause a little added stress sometimes.
Yeah.
So when someone doesn't show up on time and it changes, because one of the things that I appreciated about Serena's piece was that, like, if anything is different, there's different codes that you're like. If there were 3 chairs here as opposed to 4, that's a different set. You know,
that's
and
a different cue.
So there's a trickle, like when these guests dealing with these human beings who are, there's a trickle down effect beyond just like dealing socially with these people.
Yeah, exactly.
And cooking demos and like things like that. I don't know how you set up for that, because I feel like some people, they ask for plates and they ask for all of these things beyond just we're a newsroom, but you need to have all this stuff for me as well.
I mean, luckily we have those available for them, but I always give them the heads up of like, hey, this hot plate's a little finicky. So like, if you're expecting to have like a fully cooked, eatable meal by the end of your segment,
Not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Serena, what was the thing, putting that whole piece together and doing the day in life and really experiencing that, what was the thing that surprised you the most about M's gig here?
I think just, there's no, like, it's two extremes. You're never just like working and it's a happy medium. You're either go, 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 or it's a rest period. There's no in between. And like having to, you're resting and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, you need to constantly, you just need to be on and ready. Exactly.
Talk a little bit about your internship. We've had Serena, because she's so great, we've had her 2 times.
This is the 3rd summer.
3rd? Oh my goodness. We just know that you've become a part of our family, and
that
so each year you've been doing more and more, and now we have you on, on Chicago Now. Tell us a little bit about your experience.
It's been amazing, and like to be able to do what I'm interested in, and like the freedom I've had for that has been absolutely incredible. So I'm like going out in the field to now being on Chicago Now, I kind of can, pursue and work with whatever team that I find interest in, and it's been so cool, and everyone here is so welcoming. But what is funny, I have to tell you this, Anthony. My freshman year at Loyola, before I even knew I was coming to intern at Fox 32, Dan Ponce was our guest speaker in one of our classes.
My brother.
Small world.
Yeah.
I've got an evil twin in the city of Chicago.
Yeah.
He works for Channel 9. Yeah, older brother, 2 years older.
Yeah, but I find that, and then like, even like watching, I'd be at home like watching Fox 32 with my family. That's what we do every night. Or like even your Uber videos, and like now being here at the station interning, it's like a full circle.
That's so great.
Yeah.
That's hilarious that you met Dan before you even met me.
Wait,
unfortunately.
I think your dad, Phil Ponce, I misspoke. I think that's who it was.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
My dad actually was an instructor for a long time at Loyola.
That makes sense. It was,
he taught a class, I believe it was called The Art of the Interview or something like that.
That's all,
is that what you took?
Well, it wasn't that class, but that's the topic he spoke about, of how to give a good interview.
Old, but he popped in to talk to us.
But that was what it was all about, of like how to give a good interview. Yeah.
Sure. So I missed, this was part 3? This is the 3rd video?
No. Second video.
Okay, I missed
You gotta watch
part
her
1.
Instagram.
Oh my gosh.
You gotta look at her Instagram, because that's where we've.
I'm trying to be more active in there. I don't know how you guys do like news and.
We don't do as much as what you've put together. Like you're putting together whole pieces. We complain about just posting a picture, or so we're like, oh God, I gotta post. You're doing whole pieces, and what I love is that obviously it kind of takes what you learn in school and it takes it to a new level. Because you're doing edits and interviews and all these other aspects to it that really elevate what you learn.
But it's fun to be able to do it in like a informal way.
Oh, totally.
Like the way the video was introed, I think is just.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
She looks like we do every morning, though. Like you need that moment, like, oh Lord.
Emma, before we let you go,
of course.
If people see Serena's piece and think, that looks like a pretty cool gig. Do you have any advice for folks who might want to get into this kind of career path?
So I just reach out to your local union. Honestly, they're always looking for additional hands, especially come time for the summer music festivals. That is our big season, is building all those stages and stuff like that. So just reach out, see if you have a local. If you don't, see if you can volunteer at a local news station or at a local theater.
Good
You
advice.
both are super awesome. Thank you for putting that
Thank you.
together.
Of course.
And
Really
being
good
willing,
Thank you for letting me.
being
Of course,
willing to be the
anytime.
star.
Yeah.
We
Anytime.
were wondering, like, okay, when we have this conversation, is it going to be long enough to get us to 11? And now we're over.
Oh yes, I know. We're
Sorry.
30 minutes over. Thank you guys so much.
Of
Really
course, thank
nice
you.
job on the
Thank
piece.
you.
Love
Yeah,
it,
great.
love it. And we're
Great
back
job.
with more Chicago Now right after this.
Is my mic even on? I think it's on.
I don't have an IFB in
so
right
you don't
now.
even know.
I'm just sitting in for Gabby right now. So.
It's not on?
Okay, so her
Well, I
mic's
gotta
not
get my mic
on, so we're gonna make this all work out very
It's okay, it's
quickly.
a Monday.
It's alive, you know. So let's talk about the things that are coming up in this hour. Obviously, we've got to talk about TikTok.
Yes.
Because there's so many
it was
things
on.
that
It was on, yeah.
Oh, the mic is
Mic
on.
12, it was on.
The mic is on. Okay, we're gonna talk about TikTok. Some lip syncing that was going on TikTok that's now blown up.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've seen him, but he's a dad, he's a husband, and he's known as Husband TikTok, and it's very, very interesting.
Okay.
His name is Steven Schenberg, and he's going to be joining us.
Okay, so Husband TikTok.
Yes.
Where does this go? Like, I feel like it could go in so many different directions.
It's positive. It's positive. It's a lot of fun. I got to
Is it
fix
like
this mic cord.
tips? Is it tips for the men out there who are going to be husbands, and maybe, or is it tips for the actual husbands and like what they need to, how they wade those waters?
It's very trendy.
Okay.
Trendy topics is how I would describe it, with a little bit of comedy in there.
Okay,
So it's
all right.
good.
I like it.
It's
I
good.
like it.
I like it.
So that's coming up. What else?
And then we're going to talk to the head of the National Urban League. This is really more serious about really the racial climate in the country right now. So that'll be an interesting conversation.
That's a big talker. National Urban League always doing great things, both here in the Chicago area and well beyond. Obviously looking at economics, also looking at how as a community we can have more uplift. There are always some great events that are taking place that the National Urban League is a part of. So that's wonderful.
Absolutely. That's going to be a really good one. Okay, we're going to talk about what's trending, and we have a lot of trending topics right now, including the world's most premature baby is now a 1-year-old.
Oh,
do we have pictures?
my
I want to see.
Oh,
Okay,
they said
we
we
do
do
have
have pictures.
So this little baby, his name is Nash. He was born July 5th. So
Oh,
look at him. He weighed only 10 ounces. And if you're curious what 10 ounces is, that's the can of Pepsi.
Well,
that
look
you
at him
drink.
now.
I
Look
know.
at him now.
Very
Mama
thick.
has done some work on baby.
Yeah,
He's
so
looking good.
He is looking really good and looking really healthy, which is really a good thing. I'm sure that family's happy about that.
I think that so often, and these are the stories we really need to see more of. A lot of women, you know, you have so much trepidation, so much fear, especially if your baby has to go into a preemie unit, and you're wondering what kind of outcome does that create? What kind of hindrances longer in life does it create? And so it's really good to be able to see a success story of a baby. 10 ounces, you know, you think about it, like, I think I was 7 pounds, 8 ounces, you know, or 8 pounds, 7 ounces. Maybe I want to be 7 pounds, 8 ounces. But, and just to be 10 ounces at birth and to see him chunky now.
I know, so cute. He does have some ongoing health issues and is currently being weaned from oxygen, but even still, looking at that, that's minor compared to what the situation could have been. Yeah, so that's very cute to see. Okay, were you a fan of the Devil Wears Prada?
Oh, yes, and I'm so excited about it coming back. Yes.
It's the fashion for me. That's what had me intrigued by that movie from the beginning.
Like a look behind the scenes of the industry. Yeah.
Who was your favorite character?
Ooh, that might be very telling. Was
it Meryl Streep as Miranda? Or was it the Anne Hathaway? I forgot Anne Hathaway's name.
I loved Anne Hathaway's drive. I love that she didn't allow some things that maybe came off mean-spirited to usurp her path in life.
Okay.
But man, Meryl Streep put it down.
I didn't like Meryl Streep. I thought she was so mean.
She was mean, but it was very very telling of the industry. People in the industry and how they get used to things, and they boom, 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 especially in the fashion industry.
That's true.
You know, I have several friends that work in the fashion industry, and I mean, you go back behind the scenes to the things that they do, and it's just a world of difference from what you may be used to. Even we work on it like seconds for deadlines and things like that. And so a lot of people aren't used to that. If you go on your job and you have like, they tell you have a project, it's like 3 weeks. And we're like, 5, 4, 3,
you saw me
2.
trying to get the mic on, make sure your hair is right.
It's a different world.
It is a different world. I think what I love most about this film, fashion hands down. And I do like Anne Hathaway's come up, because it's great to see somebody come up. And she did. She went from not being the best looking in the room to owning the room.
Yeah, and then I think what you look for in like when it comes back in a second movie is, okay, if I had to go through some things to get to where I am, some not so pretty things, some not so nice things, do I carry that with me into a role where now I'm on top? Am I the person who is empathetic? Or am I like, oh, I went through it, so you have to go through it too?
I don't know. In our industry, you find a lot of people that's the latter, unfortunately. But yeah, I think you should be more empathetic, but unfortunately, in life, you don't always encounter
It's a bit of a haze sometimes. Yeah, it's a bit of a haze sometimes.
Okay, were you a fan of Destiny's Child? Were you a fan before Michelle and Kelly, too?
I've been a fan from the beginning.
Me too.
And let me tell you, I was telling the folks on Good Day this morning, I woke up on Sunday morning, I text Terrence Lee at like 7 in the morning, because I'm like, what is this? To see the Cowboy Carter tour end with a Destiny's Child reunion. First and foremost, I said, I probably liked every Chicagoan's comment in any large platform where they were like, Chicago got robbed.
A lot of people felt that way. They got robbed this whole tour.
We got robbed. We thought we were special because we were early in the tour.
Yeah,
but really, like, the twins came out when she went overseas.
True.
By the time she gets to Atlanta, Jay's coming out. And the only person I feel maybe the worst for in this situation, Shabuzi, also came out in Las Vegas, and nobody's talking about Shabuzi because everyone's like, Destiny's Child!
So here's what I'll say. My husband gave me a list of 6 things that I could do for my birthday this weekend.
Okay.
Number 1 was the Beyonce finale in Vegas. I said no to that. And I kind of regret it now after seeing this reunion.
Yeah.
But I've seen Beyonce, I think maybe 6 times.
Exactly.
So I was like, I don't need to see her again. Save your money. No. But I kind of regret not going this time around.
So what I feel about it is that, like, there are very few artists where they can have a tour and really even demand people come out multiple times.
Yeah.
She's one of them because you do find that she just implements nuggets. I think it is a genius business model that she knows everybody has their phones out, everybody is posting and long excerpts from her concerts, and yet you never feel like it's overload because there are new things happening, new outfits coming.
Yes.
There are new guests coming,
and new movies.
Well,
we know a movie.
We hope so. We certainly hope so. But really, I'm hoping for a Destiny's Child reunion tour.
I think it's possible.
Now that we got just a little tease.
You know what I kind of wanted to see? I love Michelle. I love Kelly.
Yeah.
But I did see
the originals.
I guess the show before this, which I'm not sure where was that now. But you did see her meet LaToya Luckett's 2 children.
Yeah.
3 children technically.
Yeah.
By her ex-husband. And I was hoping that we would see LaToya Luckett on that stage because LaToya Luckett is doing a lot of big things too now.
She is. A lot of acting that she's doing, and she still sings. She's had a good solo career. I was about to say all, and then I was like, well, not everybody. Not everybody has had. Where's Farrah?
I don't know. That's why I said majority.
Like, well, now wait a minute. Let me calibrate that. But yeah. So the ladies have done well. It was really good to see them come back together for the Destiny's Child reunion to close out. They all look great. And Michelle just had a birthday, 45 years old.
Yes. From the area.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly. And you know what? Terrence told me when I texted him all upset. He was like, I knew something was happening when I saw that Michelle wasn't going to be on the Broadway stage for this weekend. I said,
I saw
that's
too.
A dedicated fan.
I saw that too.
He knew Michelle's Broadway schedule.
I didn't put them together, but we do know Terrence Lee is like a diehard fan, and I'm sure he cried over this one because he went to see them, but didn't get to see Destiny's Child back together. Maybe in the album. It's coming. All right, let's talk about what else is coming. We are going to talk to Steve Schinberg. He is husband TikTok. We'll have that with Gabby, who's going to join me right after this break. Okay, wait, I was waiting to see you.
It's coming.
Where is it, man? Okay, so this is Steve Schinberg, who actually did a lip syncing to that exact song by Landon Barker, who I just realized I had to see him. I've heard that song before. I didn't realize he was 21, but nevertheless, your TikTok has blown up. You're known as Husband TikTok.
Yes.
How did this happen?
You know, actually, so I was at Second City for like 2 years prior to COVID, and then I stopped, life happened, you know, we started planning a family, so then, and then I started posting TikToks at COVID. Like, no one's ever gonna see this, and then it kind of took off from there, and then more recently, over Christmas, I started like famously teasing Landon online. The internet called it the friendliest beef of all time, and then it just kind of went from there.
You know what? We have some of your videos that we want to show that mimic Landon's video, of course.
Yes,
Let's see it. But I don't think that's the only one. Oh my goodness.
You're just missing the nail polish.
Wow.
Yeah, you're missing the leather jacket, the nail polish.
Oh, I've been wearing a leather jacket. It was my wife's, and I've stretched it out terribly. So she yelled at me last time. She said, "You can't wear it anymore. I got to get my own leather jacket now."
Well, then you guys have like some kind of a reunion. You actually met Landon in person.
We did. I was at a work conference in Las Vegas, and then we're like, "Hey, the TikTok's sort of shut down." That was like the first time.
Yeah.
We're gonna make this happen. So I flew from Vegas to LA and met him there, and that's what
How did that happen?
Okay, we'll plan it again. Let's see what we got here.
There it is.
Oh, there you are.
Yes, I saw this.
That's your wife's
Now
leather jacket?
no. So that is his. That is his. Okay. In other videos, when I do it at my house, I have to borrow my wife's. Okay, and it looks like a crop top, and the sleeves are up to here.
I was mad you weren't wearing the crop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Probably
yeah,
so
yeah,
cute.
that's yeah.
You
yeah.
could have brought it here.
Yeah,
just so
I
you
should
know,
have actually,
to really make
but I've
the
been
interview
banned from
better.
wearing it, so yeah. She hides it from me now.
So he reached out to you, or
Yeah,
you
we
guys
kind of connected there and just DMs and said, hey, this is the internet's calling for this thing to happen. Should we try to make this happen? And it did, and it couldn't have been a cooler experience.
How was he in person?
Unbelievable.
Really?
Incredibly friendly and nice and hospitable and just a good kid.
So you're from the area. What were you doing before all of this TikTok stuff?
So I'm still in my 9 to 5. Okay, TikTok's my 5 to 9. Okay, I'm in the transportation business. Okay, so I work downtown, take the metro right downtown, and that was it. I mean, I've got a wife, we've got 4 kids, we've got twin 9-month-olds.
No
God bless
way.
you.
So we're busy. Okay, we're busy.
And you still have time for TikTok.
A little bit.
What do the kids think about your TikTok? Or, I mean, the 9-month-old.
Yeah,
are really gonna understand
you know,
that.
they're primarily goo goo gaga. Okay, but the 3-year-old and 5-year-old, he just turned 6 actually last week. They don't really know. You know, he did say the other day. He came home and said, "Dad, do you do TikToks?" He doesn't even know what that is, and he said someone's
at school.
Yeah, someone said. So that was interesting. That was like the first time navigating that conversation. I said no.
Do you think you'll have any other collabs with celebrities coming up?
We're trying.
We're right here. I mean, what do you mean?
Other than us.
Other than
I'm
Fox
sorry.
32 Chicago,
Sorry.
we could slow it down and spin it around right
you're
here.
not going to get any higher than us.
But Lollapalooza's coming next week.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've got my eyes set
On a
on
few
a
stars.
few. That's right.
So, okay, you do this. You said you have a 9 to 5. This is your 5 to 9.
That's
I
right.
heard that.
That's right.
Has it been lucrative for you?
Yes, we've had a nice opportunity to do some deals, which has been great. But that's why I do keep my 9 to 5. You know, we live in the suburbs. We got 4 kids. You know, insurance. You know, there's a lot of things we got to pay for that's why it's probably best to keep my day job. Just keep this as fun.
When you saw those like follows ticking up and those likes ticking up, how did that feel? I mean, did you ever think you just did it for fun, right?
I mean, it felt unbelievable. I mean, it felt crazy. And then, you know, there were People Magazine reached out, and it just was like, whoa, what this is crazy. Even my wife, who famously is not online, she doesn't really follow what's going on. After like 3 or 4 days, she like turned to me in bed. She's like, okay, can you explain what's going on here? Like, what is all this?
So I find it interesting because I started doing social media too. I haven't risen to the level of fame as you.
Nope.
No, but her videos are hilarious.
But
I can't wait.
I don't have that many followers, but people watch them. Millions of people have watched the
Love it.
videos. I have people that identify me from that and have no idea that I do TV. When you're on the train or out and about, do people say, wait a minute, husband TikTok, is that you?
You know, sometimes, never on the train, and in the suburbs, never. Okay, if I come in the city, sometimes someone will say like, oh, you know, are you the dad from TikTok or husband TikTok? Sometimes, okay, but yeah, like I say that my neighbors don't know. People don't believe me. They don't know. My neighbors have no clue. Okay, so we've let a couple people into the secret. No one else. I've never been like walking around and people.
Is that intentional to kind of like keep your privacy?
You
Because
know,
in some ways you
to.
don't want to be in your neighborhood with all of
That's
your
exactly
kids,
right.
and people are like, "Wait, that's the TikTok guy."
That's
then
exactly
they know
right.
where you live. They know where
And
you
that's
go
my
to school.
personality, is the TikTok guy. You know, and so keep it a little more low key.
But how fun. I remember I actually ran into one of your videos probably months ago, and I saw Metro, and that's what made me stop, and I was listening, and I saw some of your other videos. So I've been following you actually for a couple of weeks now.
Well, thank you.
How is it though, like navigating, and maybe this is even a question for Tia too, you guys navigating a family and then also coming up with content. You've got to keep it fun. You got to
Do you
make
record
sure
in
it's
one
fun.
day, or how do you do it?
Well, you know, so outside of like the bathroom collabs, the other half of my account is like husband, father, parent,
Right.
you know, shtick. And that, I mean, all the content comes from the house. I mean, they're, you know, the kids and my wife and beautiful Melly. Hi, Mel. But so that, it's just kind of quick, you know, that's my, if I want to get technical here, like the way I shoot TikToks is like this. Most people, like other people have setups and green screens, but like my life only affords me to pull it out. I've got 10 seconds to film it and get it online. So, I don't know, that's just how it happens.
Is that Young Gravy right there?
That is Young Gravy.
it is Young Gravy. So wait a minute, how are you meeting up with these celebrities like this?
You know, people ask, like, Steve, how are you manifesting this? It's not manifestation. I just send 1,000 DMs to these people and say, hey, this is who I am. I'm a dad, Chicago. Like, this could be very cool if we did this. It's unexpected. And they answer.
How did you end up meeting Young Gravy?
That DMing.
Was that in town, or was
no,
that?
I flew out to LA. He said, do you want to do this? I said, yeah. He said, wait, so you'll be in my bathroom doing this. I said, I know it sounds crazy. Trust me, though. This thing will explode if we make this happen. He's like, all right.
So that's his real bathroom.
That's his bathroom.
How funny.
I know. Okay. So the DMs have said, sorry to cut you off, the DMs are like, hey, I'm Steve. Do you want to collab in your bathroom? Or at Lollapalooza, I've been saying, like, there's probably a porta potty we can find to do a little collab in. So.
I mean, yeah, there could be a lot of opportunities here in Chicago because we have all these big events and people coming through. Oh, so other than Lollapalooza coming up, what do you see for the future of your account?
Well, you know, I'm going to continue with the husband and father stuff. Shameless plug, the Fray's coming in town August 15th. So, hey, maybe a chance to slow it down there. And from there, I don't know, you know, just kind of week by week. We'll see how it goes.
Have you ever had a very interesting encounter, either with a celebrity walking through their house, you don't have to tell us who, or like you're out somewhere and somebody just won't leave you alone? I always ask people that sit in that seat that question.
You know, I have not. Okay, I'm sure if you ask the celebrities about me, they'd probably, yeah, this guy he was my weird encounter. Yeah, that's right. I had a guy come to my bathroom once and dance with me. But then no, people are generally like very friendly. And they, hey, how you doing? Nice to, you know, I love your videos. Thanks. You know, it's kind of that.
So is it like you go in their bathroom, you dance I'm guessing it's a few minutes, and then you just leave?
No, they've
actually
feed
you?
Yeah, they're like, hey, do you want to stay for a drink? You want to grab food? And we do. Usually, like, we hang out for like maybe like an hour before, and it's like, okay, get to know each other. Yeah, that's exactly right.
I mean, are they doing this kind of often, from what you know? Like,
I don't know.
Inviting some creators in. And
I don't know.
I
listen. I say that my 5'8" stature makes me really unalarming. Like, people just, I guess, think I'm generally friendly and say, you know what, I'll take a chance on this guy and bring him in.
Do you stay in contact with anyone?
Yeah, yeah.
Who's
well, even the Young Gravy was here last weekend. He was in Joliet. He's like, hey, if you want to come to the show, feel free.
You should have invited him to your bathroom.
I've got 4 kids. I've got my wife.
That would be even better.
But, you know, who did come to my bathroom was plain white tees. You know, hey there, Delilah.
Yeah.
So they were like 2 or 3 weeks ago. They were at my house in my bathroom.
No way.
That's
I'm
right.
going to have to look at that video.
I know. It's unbelievable.
This is hilarious.
It's hilarious.
All right. So since you like already have like rubbed shoulders with all these people, like rubbed elbows, who's next? Like who do you want to see?
Who's the number
one person you think?
Well, I get asked that all the time, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And there's 2 answers. Like, obviously, like a Taylor Swift would be humongous, okay? A Luke Combs would be humongous. I don't know if those are gettable, okay? There's also online gettables, like a Joe Jonas would be a good one, okay? Joe, you listening? Okay.
You're doing well though. So you might get all of those.
Maybe, but you have to be online to have a chance of knowing who I am. Okay, so Young Gravy had seen the Fray videos. He had like at least an idea of what this was. Maybe Taylor Swift has no clue what this is. Okay, Joe Jonas may have seen a video. He may have seen one of these, and I could pitch him.
No, I don't agree with you.
I like that. Hey.
I think they would know.
Thank you.
I think so too.
Everybody lives online now.
Thank you. Maybe?
Yeah, I
okay,
think,
you know what? Taylor, you're back on. Luke, let's do something.
Yeah.
that's
right.
what I'm saying.
All right.
We can help you out.
I'm coming to Nashville.
We know all these people.
We'll text them later.
right.
We'll text them for you.
Let me ask you a question. A lot of people that are on social media that start out as a husband or dad or something like that, they evolve and eventually have their children involved or their wife.
Sure.
Are you trying to protect them? Do you want them to?
I'm the only one who signed up for TikTok in
Got
my
it.
family, and we'll keep it that way. It's like pulling teeth trying to get my wife to come on. You know, people love her, rightfully so, and so she comes on every now and again, but not the kids.
Got it.
Not a family account, just a Steve account.
Got
Do you
it.
have a goal of how many like videos you want to post in 1 week or a day?
No, I try to do a video a day. Okay. You know, I try not to force it because when you do that, then it feels that way kind of. I try to do like a video a day.
Okay. Well, I feel like we should collab, and you can come
want
to
to?
my come to my bathroom.
There's a
love to
bathroom
see that.
down the hall. We can do
something.
We could do
something.
Yeah, you want to do that?
I think.
Why not? We might
should.
as well.
Okay, all right.
I mean, we could tag Taylor, Luke, and see what happens.
Yeah, and
This
then when
thing
you
will
guys
go
go
viral.
to Celebrity House, I'll be your security guard, and I'll make sure everything's
Okay,
cool.
all right.
So is your goal to erase the 9 to 5 ever? Because a lot of people feel like, especially when you have a family, you have 4 kids, you have a wife, you still have to be beholden to your job, right? And I'm sure you would like a little bit more flexibility where you can be more present, right? And not be working all the time. Have you thought about turning that, or pushing to turn it to be your full-time gig?
I have not, okay? I just know that, like, hey, family first, the family's got to be taken care of, okay? My wife stays at home. She works inside the house and takes care of our kids. So I've got to provide there. And TikTok, again, it could go away overnight. It would be a little irresponsible of me to turn off the 9 to 5 at least today.
The only reason I asked that is because there are 2 young ladies, and I forget their last name now, but I started watching them. They're twins.
Okay.
I started watching them as little children.
Okay.
They're now teenagers. They live in Atlanta. I think they moved from like Arizona or somewhere with their family to Atlanta. The whole family are now social media people. Well, those 2 little girls, the McClure twins, that's their name.
I know who
They said recently on some social media episode, they made $500,000 doing one social media campaign for Nike. That's why I asked, would you be interested if the opportunity was right and you made enough money that you can invest and still take care of your family, would you consider taking away that 9 to 5?
If Nike pays me $500,000, sure, I'll quit tomorrow. But so that
you got on Nike.
That's exactly right.
We'll get a cut,
A little plug here, a little
you're wearing the Nikes.
Right. That's exactly right.
Just saying, you never know what can happen.
All right.
Gotta have an open mind.
I do. I have an open mind. I want to be realistic though too. Okay.
Maybe you'll record in Nike's bathroom.
That would be that would be unbelievable. Phil Knights, just go out to Oregon and that's right.
Or you can step out of the bathroom too. We give you permission to do that.
Okay.
You could be like in a studio. We'll give you a space.
Yeah,
this is a stage.
Yeah, we got to figure out that's what we should have done, guys. We should have recorded something today.
You know what I would really like is to be on a stage at Lollapalooza. That is where I'd like to do a collab.
Manifest
well, say it.
All right.
There you go. Which camera, guys?
All right.
Right here.
Right
there it is.
Okay.
Right there. There you go.
All right. If you're performing at Lollapalooza and you would like a handsome 37-year-old dad of
37?
4. Yeah.
No, that's a baby face.
Thank you.
Yeah, you look great.
But go ahead. Sorry.
You invite me to Lollapalooza, okay? Also, I've never been.
Really?
Never been to Lollapalooza. The crowds, it's too much, but I'll do it for you.
Got it.
Right.
All right. I'm sold. Steve, where can people follow you if they've never seen you before until today? What social media platform and what's your name on there?
Husband TikTok across all social media platforms.
You're great.
Hey, thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
We'll see you at Lollapalooza.
Yes.
We'll be right back.
Thank you.
11:30 now. Welcome back to Chicago Now. A former TV crime reporter found herself as the story after 2 DUIs, a career collapse, and hitting a personal rock bottom. So we're bringing in Beth McDonough, who covered government scandals, kidnapping cases, high-profile murders, you name it. And she's here to tell us about the journalism news reporting, of course, which led to some problems, but also talk about a new book called Stand By. Beth, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and good day, Chicago.
We're happy that you're here. Let's talk about this. What made you decide to tell your own story?
You know, I was on house arrest of all things. So after my 2 DUIs, my arrest and my court time, part of the punishment that I received, I was on house arrest for 37 days. And, you know, that's a lot of time to be up in your head and to be home alone, if you will. And so being a writer and a journalist and reporter, and we know that we write our own stuff, right? Our own stories. And I thought, well, who better than me to write my own story? I have time on my hands and I have a computer. And initially I started writing it just looking to vent and kind of get all the gunk inside of me out, everything that I had been going through over the last year, which was self-imposed because of my alcoholism. And as I got into it and I got past chapter 1 and chapter 2, I realized I'm not just writing this for me and for therapy, but I'm writing it for others to see, you know, we hear someone gets a DUI. Okay, well, what does that mean? It sounds awful, right? So in the book, I start you off right where I was. It's not a soft start. We open up in the jail cell together with, of all things, a story about me being played on the television. And the mugshot you put up a moment ago, that was the mugshot that I woke up to in jail and saw on television. And I just thought I've got a lot of experiences and insight through this whole court process and life process that I could pass on to others that might make their experience a little more bearable.
You know, Beth, I always think it's so inspiring when someone can hit rock bottom or their rock bottom and, you know, come back and inspire others. What has been some of the feedback from readers?
You know, and you guys can probably appreciate this. Early on, it was a little bit of both. People questioning, wondering, why now? Because it's 16 years later. And I've been sober for all of those 16 years. And sometimes you need to live the ending before you go back and can tell the beginning. And so I have 16 years of being grounded and experience, and I have perspective that I can offer other people. And the time is right. If you look around society and even the segment you had on right before me, you know, people are ready for some messy in their lives. They can handle the messy stories because that's what life is. Life is gray. And, you know, the time was now. The truth had to find me, and it found me, and I've had enough time to put together the type of book that I would like to, that offers a great deal of takeaway for readers and helps to connect some stories to their souls, to the people that need to hear it.
You know, some people would see you on TV, I'm sure, and felt like you were on the top, right? A lot of people don't understand that we're real people just like them because they see us on TV. Tell us what you were going through that really led you to start drinking and then reach a point to sobriety.
Yeah, so my mother died in 2005, and at the same time I went through a romantic breakup. And then my father and my mother were married for a long time. He, you know, had a little bit of a mental breakdown, and then he had to have quadruple bypass surgery. All of this happened in the month that my mother died. And I'm kind of the go-to in the family, if you will, the problem solver, get things done. So I went back to Oklahoma, where my parents had retired to, and to take care of my father and kind of get that going. And anyone who's dealt with grief, you know, when you're the responsible one getting everything done and planning the funerals and the cremation and this, that, and the other, I didn't have any time for myself to even contemplate mourning at that time. And it wasn't until I went back to Minnesota, where I was working for Fox News, KMSP, that I could exhale for a moment and like, okay, this is when I need to start to deal with my grief and my sorrow. But as we do in this business, I'm pretty hard charging and run and gun. And so when I came back, I just hit the ground running at work, going as hard as I ever did, because that was kind of an outlet for me and a distraction, if you will. But I noticed I never drank during the job, maybe after the news late at night or on weekends when, colleagues and I would go out and maybe decompress after what we saw all day. But I noticed that my colleagues could stop drinking and I couldn't. And I thought, how can they leave that wine in that glass or that beer on the table? And I noticed that that was one problem. Then I started to drink more. It wasn't maybe just a couple of times a week. It was every night when I got home from the news. And then I also realized I started to cut back on things in my home, like maybe I wouldn't get a medication or go out to eat as much so I could still afford the alcohol. And then another telling sign for me, when I would drive to work on the way, and I worked the night shift, so no stores were open when I got off of work, I would stop at different liquor stores along the way, depending on the day, because I didn't want anyone, a liquor store owner, to ever get the notion of, hey, this woman has a problem. And so maybe one day I'd stop at one liquor store, and the next day or a couple of days later, a different one. So people wouldn't piece it together, but I knew what I was hiding. And that's why it was time to write this book. And you see the headlines, you've seen my mugshot, but people don't know what went on behind the scenes. And that's where I, take over and kind of walk people through every single thing that I went through, the good, the bad, and let me tell you, a bunch of ugly.
You mentioned some of the, part of your grieving process, you're also having to go to work, and you were covering a lot of breaking news around the country. What were some of the stories that stood out, and to give our audience, a little bit of an idea of all the stuff that you covered?
Oh my goodness, I've lived like 21 lives, ladies, as we do in news. So I've worked all over the country, Houston, Philadelphia, New York, Minneapolis, Joplin, Missouri, Oklahoma City. So, I always covered death, destruction, murder, mayhem. That's what I called it. And I loved those kind of stories because I was fascinated by people who could go through some of the worst things on earth and in their lives and pull themselves up by their bootstrings. Because I feel like my life has always been about survival. And I was drawn to that. And that was a very strong reason why I wanted to write the book and to share it with others.
So now that you've had this book that you've written, is the plan to write more books?
Yes, I've written a sequel, if you will. The first one, Standby, is about the fall. And mine was a big fall. The day I was fired by my boss at Fox News, that was the wake-up call for me because I love my job so much I would have done anything for it. And that was the wake-up call of Beth, you've got a problem and you need to go to treatment, you need to get help. And the previous DUI, a year before, my boss did offer me help, but shame is a powerful thing. No one wants to grow up and be an alcoholic or be labeled an alcoholic, right? And so, I denied and said, no, I've got a handle on this. And I tried to do it on my own, but that doesn't ever end in success. So a year later, he said, you were warned the first time, this time you are fired. And something that was hard to hear that you guys will appreciate is, when you're kind of established in a market for a long time and you've made your way, and to hear someone say you're no longer of service to us, that was just a shot to my heart. And so, I'm a big believer in accountability, and Fox didn't do this to me. I did this to Fox, and now I need to make up for it. And so I did go to treatment, and I did join a program and go to aftercare and get a sponsor. And we in TV news, we have to get a really strong backbone, right? Because people come at you pretty anonymously from their keyboards. And I did get some of that along the way, people questioning, what am I doing out driving again? Well, I got my driver's license back 16 years ago. So, I'm as legal as they are. But I have those conversations with people so they understand you can come out of a situation a much better person than you were before.
Have you found that's maybe some of your audience in that market and coworkers have read your book yet, or have, you know, at least seen some of the buzz and said, hey, you know, I'm now finally understanding what you went through?
Yes, which has been wonderful, because I, again, hid a little bit behind the shame for a while. I used to joke, and please understand the levity of this, that I was either infamous or famous, depending on where you knew me in my life. So I do think it's been very helpful to write the book, and then the next one, Still Standing, you know, it picks up where the first book left off, because, okay, here I went through all my court treatment, I paid all the fines, I you know, covered all of the lawsuits, and it's very expensive to get your second DUI. I was broke, I was losing my home. I didn't have anywhere to go, no one would hire me. Believe me, I tried. I called the TV stations and the malls, and I'm like, okay, you know, what am I gonna do to put food on my table? And so I started dog walking. I lost my car and my license for a year. And so I went to my neighbors around me and said, hey, you know, I'm looking to rebuild myself. Can I walk your dogs for, you know, $20 a walk? And I slowly built that into a dog walking daycare, grooming and boarding business. And sold that 3 years in, because I was just physically and emotionally exhausted, and the time was right and a good offer came in. And the day that I sold that, KSTP, also in Minneapolis, St. Paul, an ABC affiliate, however, they called me totally out of the blue and said, Beth, you know, we've been following you. We have a job for you. It's as an investigative producer behind the scenes. You won't be on camera. Is this something you're willing to do? And, you know, I looked at my life the last 3 years, and I was picking up dog poop every day for a living. So that sounded pretty enticing at the time. And I was excited. The Hubbards, who own KSTP, are very well known for, you know, giving employees all the support they need. And so I went back, and if you'd ever told me that my career would be so much better after my DUIs than before, I wouldn't have believed you. But, you know, you grow through what you go through. And I have this phrase in my head: difficulty doesn't destroy who you are, it reveals who you are. And I live by that, and I share that with others.
I like what you said. You said grow through what you go through. Oftentimes as journalists, we don't take sides, right? You don't find us advocating for anything. Has it been an interesting journey for you to be an advocate for sobriety?
It really has, because I was hesitant in the beginning. How are people going to receive the message? You know, because I hurt a lot of people that trusted me and put their jobs on their line for me. And so it's up to me then to make it up to everyone, to make the amends, to reach out to everyone. And I have face-to-face conversations. I've had a conversation with the boss who fired me, and now he's a big supporter. And, you know, I put him in a terrible position. But you really have to go through some of these experiences. And for me, rock bottom is where the rebuild began, to sobriety, because sobriety just opens the floodgates to everything else in your life. And I used to think asking for help, you know, in news, we do it all ourselves, right? It's kind of you against the world when you leave the TV station every day. But I realized my lack of accepting help is part of the reason that I got into such deep trouble, because I was offered help. And now I want people to know that this is what help looks like. It's strength. It's when you ask for help, it's not weakness at all. It magnifies the help you get. And rock bottom, that's where the rebuild begins. And alcoholism isn't a choice. You know, you're born with it. It's an equal opportunity disease, but recovery is every day. And I want people to show why it's important to put in the work to get sober, and then what it looks like. You know, here I am speaking with you, and we're sharing the word about why it's important to even entertain maybe being sober curious. This is dry July after all, right?
Beth, thank you so much for joining us. I think a lot of people are going to find your story inspiring. For people at home who are interested, where can they find Standby?
Yes, my book is still in the printing process. We're dangerously close to being done, and it will be available on my author website, which is bethmcdmedia.com, and then all of my social medias. It'll be available anywhere books are sold: Amazon, Kindle, Audibles, all of that good stuff. And right now we just unveiled the cover this week. So it kind of shows you the two sides of Beth, which speaks to the two sides of alcoholism.
We appreciate you for sharing your story. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Ladies, great questions. I enjoyed it immensely. Thank you.
Thank you,
take
Beth.
care.
Appreciate you.
All right, we'll have much more right after this break. Welcome back to Chicago Now. So this is where we slow the show down and talk about some really important topics that impact all of us, including the state of Black America, which is definitely a huge one. And if you don't know this face, this is Mr. Mark Morial, the president and CEO of the National Urban League. Thank you so much for giving us some time.
Thanks for having me. Congratulations on the show. And it's always good to be in the great city of Chicago.
I know you're here visiting for the National Bar Association. That they're having their functions here for the rest of the week.
Yeah, they're here for their 100th anniversary conference. And of course, I'll also be visiting this afternoon and tomorrow my colleagues here in Chicago at the Chicago Urban League, led by Karen Freeman Wilson. So we'll be in dialogue with them too about the issues of the day.
Yeah, I know Karen very well. Let's talk about what some of those issues are. The state of Black America, there's an emergency. Let's talk about it.
So this emergency stems from several things. Number one, the assault on both democracy and voting. That's been underway for many, many years since the Supreme Court's decision in 2013, which really weakened the Voting Rights Act. So it's led to literally, and maybe not so much in Illinois, but across the nation, an assault by the passage of state laws which make it harder for people to vote, which politicize the elections process. So that's one impact, and it's been sort of accelerated by the new administration and its executive orders. The second has been an assault on economic opportunity. So when I think of diversity, equity, and inclusion, I think of economic opportunity, the opportunity for people to have the job, get the promotion, own the home, sit in the C-suite, sit around the boardroom table. And there's been an assault by these executive orders, and also pressure being placed on universities, pressure being placed on private corporations. Think of the attack on university grants. It's unnecessary, it's so out of bounds, but it is very real, saying to universities, you need to do as we say if you want to keep your money.
What does that do in the long run? Because we have seen where some of those grants do go to people that may not be able to go to college, and especially Black and brown people.
Look, we've had a 70-year, if you will, history in this country of progress, opening doors. The civil rights movement opened doors to African Americans, to women, to people who are Latino and Asian, disabled Americans. Think of the Americans with Disabilities Act. You've had this long, long history. Now that long history is being attacked. Make it harder for people to get the job. Make it harder for them to be promoted. Make it harder for them to attend a community college or a four-year college or a technical school so that they can fulfill their dreams to be part of the American economic mainstream. The State of Black America report this year is really a commentary on the State of the Union. And I am concerned that what we are seeing now, and if you add to that this, I call it the big ugly bill, and the cutbacks, let's throw 20 million people off of health care. Let's close the doors to higher ed for people. The long-term impact on America is not going to be good. We are in a competition economically with the Chinas of the world, with the Indias of the world. We cannot compete if we do not have every able-bodied young person who has an opportunity to fulfill their dreams. And that's, these policy attacks are going to choke and squeeze, if you will, the ladder of prosperity and the ladder of success.
You know, I think people often wonder, hey, you know, what can I do? They hear about this. So what can everyday people do to help after this report's released?
Number one, you need to be a very aggressive voter. Mm-hmm. You've got to vote. You've got to get everyone in your family to vote. I want to see younger Americans vote in record numbers in 2026. I want to see Black Americans and Latinos who did not vote to the extent that we should have in 2024 vote in large numbers in 2026. Number two, you've got to use your voice. I see people with their phones. I see them with Instagram. You need to post and comment on issues of the day, not just on your favorite celebrity, your favorite music, your favorite fashion, your favorite sports personality or icon. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to do that, but I'm going to spend half my time talking about the issues of the day. And I think it's so important that we say that we need to be active citizens. Those of us who are more activists, we will litigate. We will bring challenges to public policy. We will assert a vision of America, which is a vision that I think is, as opposed to a vision of yesterday, is truly a vision of tomorrow.
What do you do in the next 3 years to make sure that young people are going to vote? Because we know that. We know that a lot of these young people have not been voting. What do you do to change their mind? We got to listen to young people. We got to listen to them. We got to hear their concerns, their fears, their reluctance to participate in the political process. First of all, we got to listen. Second of all, we got to make sure young people are engaged. Look, I was a young elected official. I got elected at the age of 32 to the Louisiana State Senate. I got elected at the age of 35 as mayor of New Orleans. I was the youngest mayor of a major American city. We need young people to run for office, right? We need young people to offer themselves up, indeed, for leadership positions, bring their voice and bring their concerns to the political process, to the civic process in America. We need young people to get involved and active in organizations, civic organizations, community organizations, faith-based organizations. I say let's not be silent citizens who may be PO'd, upset. Let's be active citizens. So we provide an opportunity through the National Urban League, and our local affiliate, the Chicago Urban League, has the Chicago Urban League Young Professionals, which is an organization that people can be involved in. They do a variety of activities, community-based activities, to support our mission each and every day. We have 93 affiliates across the nation. In Illinois, we are in Chicago, we are in the Quad Cities, we're in East St. Louis. We have a presence in this state. We're in Springfield, if you will. So we urge people to be involved. I want you to be involved in the Urban League. If the Urban League isn't for you, get involved in some community-based activities, some organizations that's working for justice, some organizations that are fighting for economic opportunity. What do you say to young people that may feel like, okay, ththese policy changes, because I've heard this from young people, this is for the old folks, this isn't impacting me right now.
Hey, guess what? Stay tuned and it will. 20 million people losing health care, many of them are young Americans. Think about the mom, the young mom who maybe 40% of all women in America rely on Medicaid to deliver their child. Think about young families who work in a job that does not provide health care, and therefore Medicaid is essential to them going to the doctor, confronting asthma or ADHD or any type of ailments. It will impact you, or it will impact someone you love, care for, This is the important point. It may impact your mom. My mom needed nursing care, needed home care before she passed a year ago. And so to some extent, it may impact your family. So many Americans who end up with home care or nursing care need Medicaid. But it won't only affect Medicaid. This big ugly bill is also going to affect those that took advantage of the expansion of health care that took place because of the Affordable Care Act, or what some people called Obamacare. So some 20 million people's health care is at risk. Look at the deficit the Chicago public schools are facing. Well, to some extent, that is because of cuts in federal dollars that are coming down the pike. Think, if you're a citizen of Illinois, you are a donor state. Illinois sends more money to Washington than it gets back from Washington. So when we say give Illinois its fair share, give a community its fair share, it's your money. It's just coming back to invest in your prosperity and your upward mobility.
Do you feel like, families aren't really having this conversation enough at the dinner table? Because yes, we could hear it on social media, but I think, it starts at home, having these important conversations with whatever your beliefs may be.
I think you're so right. We've got to have conversations, civic discussions, civic debates. It's okay to disagree. It's okay, but if we are discussing it, are we having those discussions respectfully? Are we having it based on fact? Are we just having it based on hyperbole and hype? So I think you're so right. Those discussions need to take place in the community, in the family, at the dinner table, on the corner, in the church, in the classroom, on the playground. We need to be having these discussions. So the State of Black America talks about this very, very serious emergency. And I think right now we are saying it's a warning sign, right? Some of the impact of these policies may not have impacted you just yet, may not have impacted your family or your community just yet, but they will.
I always talk about in my household that people don't read. And the reason why I say that, here's a great example of why we always talk about people not reading, is because before this administration was voted into office, there was another document that came out
2025
that kind of outlined what we may see with this new administration, and then some of it has come to fruition. People didn't read.
And look, President Trump head faked everybody. When they asked him about Project 2025, he said, I don't know anything about it. I'm not really for it. But then it became the central document for the domestic policies of his administration. So do people read? They sure read their phones.
They do.
They sure do read those texts. They sure do read those emails. They sure do read that IG page. I think it is not only not whether people read or not, but what they are reading and what they're paying attention to. And so you can follow me at Mark Morial. You can follow the National Urban League at Nat Urban League on social media and keep in touch with the discussion on these issues. You can follow your favorite civic leader, your favorite political leader, your favorite civil rights leader. I encourage people to put some energy into informing themselves around these issues as much as following your favorite celebrity.
Well, that was going to be part of my question, is people didn't read that document that we were just talking about. Why do you think it's important for them to read the document that you're putting out?
They need to read it to understand the condition and also to get a perspective beyond the news of how these policies are impacting them. Impacting, yes, Black America, but impacting the whole of America.
Perfect. All right, and you said people can follow where? One more
at
time.
Nat Urban League or at Mark Morial. It's Mark Morial, MARCMORIAL. Follow me, be in this conversation, and be an active and informed citizen. So this is so important in these days and in these times. And congratulations to both of you for your new show.
Thank you.
And
thank you
I'll
for
come
coming
back
on.
whenever I'm back in the beautiful city of Chicago.
We want to see you back, so we're going to hold you to it. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Morial. We'll be right back.
My pleasure. Thanks. Thanks so much.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at Noon. Now at noon, charges are filed in the shooting death of a suburban woman. We have an update on what police say happened.
Lollapalooza gets underway this week. Even if you aren't going, it's going to affect you. Which streets you're going to need to avoid.
And the Bears, they're bringing the heat in the heat. How they're handling practice on one of the warmest days of the year. It's also the first day pads.
All right, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Sylvia Perez.
And I'm Brian Jackson. As we take a live look outside, time is now noon on this Monday. We are in for a big warm-up this week.
Yeah, I could already feel that heat and humidity out there, right, Caitlin?
It is a hot one. We do have that advisory in place because of the heat, but let's talk first about the skies. You saw from that live shot, it's a little bit cloudy out there. A few isolated showers have popped up. Now, I have our lightning tracker turned on, and I'm not seeing any thunder associated with the few showers that are happening in Cook County. Also, as we round the lake in northern LaPorte County, you can see the rain is coming down pretty good, isolated in nature near Michigan City along I-94 there. And as we take a look north of the city, O'Hare, you have a heavy downpour between O'Hare and Elmhurst. And then over Des Plaines near Evanston, another area with some heavy rain. But again, there's no lightning with it right now. We have the potential for showers and storms on and off throughout the rest of the day today. And then again, early tomorrow, the chance for some gustier storms. Generally speaking, though, it's actually quiet on this early afternoon for most of Chicagoland, but it is hot. We have that heat advisory in place until 8 p.m. tonight because of this. The heat, the humidity together making it feel like we could be above 100. Currently, the actual temperature ranging in the 80s and 90s. 91 degrees at Midway, 85 at the Lakefront, 83 at O'Hare. 90 is what it feels like at O'Hare, but 100 as we get out to Aurora and DeKalb. So that feel like temperature, 102 at Midway, 106 in Gary. It is going to be dangerously warm today. Now, we do have big relief coming by the end of the week, but today, as well as even tomorrow, it is going to be toasty.